Nash Bridges is a 1996 CBS action crime drama that is not Walker, Texas Ranger. You probably assumed that one CBS show that Steve Austin did all those cameos on, starring an 80s action star and powerboat speed racing world champion, would have been with Chuck Norris in his home state of Texas. And we will definitely be taking a look at Walker and the gang at some point down the line. But Nash Bridges is a whole other show entirely. Unlike Walker, which has remained in the pop culture zeitgeist through the tireless efforts of Late Night with Conan O'Brien well into the 2000s, and through the relentless memification of Chuck Norris to this day, if you grew up any time within the last 3 decades, it's entirely possible you have no idea what Nash Bridges is, as even in its heyday, it was really mostly aimed at the aging CBS primetime demographic. So what is Nash Bridges? To accurately contextualize what the hell Nash Bridges is and why it exists requires going back a decade before the show's conception and examining a television phenomenon that birthed the identity of a whole new era in pop culture and the one man at the eye of the storm, series lead Don Johnson. And yep, that is his real name. For the better part of the 1980s, Don Johnson was one of the biggest stars in the world, thanks to his role as no-nonsense beachside heartthrob Sonny Crockett in monster hit detective action series Miami Vice. Vice's impact on the cultural landscape of the decade was enormous, with its cool-tone Art Deco aesthetic, created by then up-and-coming visionary director Michael Mann, helping to craft a whole new identity for the actual city and culture of Miami that remains present there today, and molding the overall perception of the entire decade of the 1980s for generations to come. The show's popularity set a new standard for cop shows and skyrocketed series lead Don Johnson to international fame, even becoming a style icon in his own right, whose signature pastel suit with rolled-up sleeves and a t-shirt became synonymous with the overall idea of 80s culture even to this day, even in wrestling. By the mid-90s, after a series of lackluster attempts to transition to the big screen, Johnson was settling into his middle-aged years and looking for a second act. After a career portraying a streetwise, no-nonsense cop who plays by his own rules, living on the edge with danger, women, and fast cars in the high-stakes coastal crime city of Miami, Johnson decided to flip the script and dive into a completely new role as a streetwise, no-nonsense cop who plays by his own rules, living on the edge with danger, women, and fast cars in the high-stakes coastal crime city of San Francisco. Created expressly to relate more to concerns facing the boomer generation, now creeping towards their 50s and dealing with issues such as ex-wives, teenage children, and aging parents, Nash Bridges is kind of like watching someone star in the most extreme version of an idealized midlife crisis possible, complete with an all-new, less iconic but equally as bizarre wardrobe, and an updated, off-the-cuff signature nomenclature from
"This is Miami, pal.
Listen, pal.
I am strictly business, pal.
Pal.
Pal. Pal. Pal. Pal.
to
It's your last chance, Bubba.
Sorry, Bubba. You better hurry, Bubba. Bubba.
Bubba.
the latter being inspired by infamous gonzo journalist and legendary drug-addled wild man Hunter S. Thompson, a neighbor and close friend of Johnson's who helped pitch the idea for the show, and is credited for writing 2 episodes, including the first ever appearance of one Stone Cold Steve Austin as Fugitive Retrieval Officer, former Nash protege, and all-out badass Inspector Jake Cage. Austin made his debut well into the show's 4th season, essentially playing a much bigger, streetwiser, even less nonsense cop who plays by his own rules, even more. Riding in on his motorcycle with his signature jean vest and suitcase combo, the latter of which he uses to both catalog and take down outlaws on the run, Austin generally acts as a friendly foil to Nash whenever their cases cross each other's jurisdictions, resulting in the two inevitably teaming up to catch the bad guys and save the day. In his first appearance in the episode Pump Action, Austin and Nash team up to bust a steroid drug ring that causes its clientele to eventually erupt into a murderous roid rage. And we get a bunch of fun fight scenes and some wacky antics with a female wrestler who has a pretty lucrative proto-OnlyFans empire on the go.
3:30 is ironing.
People actually pay money to watch you iron?
1,237 hits currently at 99 cents a minute and an average stay on time of 11 and a half minutes. That's big bucks.
And takes a liking to Inspector Cage.
I'm finding him very, very attractive. I'm just kind of putting that out there in case Mr.
Cage.
Mr. Cage is single.
Yeah, get in line with the rest of them, honey.
In Season 4 finale, The Goodbye Kiss, we start getting a peek into Cage's more refined side, with his shockingly robust vocabulary.
I'm not gonna let a couple of mendacious miscreants like yourself back me off my own gig.
I don't mean to be an obsequious bastard, but this guy ain't taking the easy way out.
Apparent knowledge and fandom of the Weather Channel,
You know, any jackass can look at a millibar chart and see that the fog's gonna lift by 11 in hell, son. By noon, it'll be 75. Because Antwerp Airport was closed yesterday due to ground fog all over the Benelux region. I watch Weather Channel a lot. It relaxes me.
And a great fight scene with Cage taking out the dojo of karate students.
Jake, come on or I'm gonna shoot you myself!
There's still some life left in these guys. I was just getting started.
And in episode 5 of the 5th season entitled High Society, Austin is tasked with going undercover with Baywatch alumni Yasmin Bleeth to infiltrate a fancy upper-class wedding reception, which leads to a lot of great scenes with Stone Cold speaking French,
Je voudrais commander du vin.
trying on a tux,
Want a shirt like that, the fluffy kind.
and learning how to eat salad.
You got a beer? I got a damn crouton stuck in my throat.
And I guess this is probably the best time to talk about the character of Caitlin Cross. Bleeth joined the cast as Cross in Season 4, playing an inspector investigating Nash's department, which becomes an unlikely Sam and Diane style romance if Diane was 20 years Sam's junior and looked exactly like his daughter. Guess which one he dated in real life?
I love you, Daddy.
In his first appearance on the show, Cage is revealed to have gone on a date with Cross years previous and is very interested in rekindling the romance. This results in Cage's first 3 appearances involving an extremely low-stakes love triangle between the three, as Cross's only discernible character traits seem to be uptight, by the books, and hopelessly attracted to her aging lead, while Nash actively tries to pawn her off on Cage, cause even a former Baywatch lifeguard can't hold this stallion down. Cage and Cross's relationship gets a little bumpy at times, but overall, the two seem to have pretty good chemistry, and in the end, Cage really has Nash's character down pat.
Track record speaks for itself, Cross. He's failed at 2 marriages, he's obsessed with his job, the longest relationship he's had is with his car. Well, marriage is not an option for Nash. At this point, he'd rather lease than buy. It's temporary.
Austin's last 2 appearances on the show come at the end of the 5th season in the 2-part season finale, Jackpot. The first part, in which he has an extremely minor subplot having to share a desk with Nash's sidekick, Joe Dominguez,
Don't mess with my stuff.
played by comedy and marijuana legend Cheech Marin, and the second part where him and Nash are momentarily at odds before getting a devastating coin bag blow to the head of his stunt double, before inevitably agreeing to team up with Nash to catch the bad guys, and then disappearing from the episode entirely. There is, however, one final Austin appearance in Nash Bridges I've been saving till the end. And that's from the 5th season's 8th episode, Get Bananas, where Austin tries to kidnap a celebrity chimpanzee not once, but twice. There's not really much more to Austin's appearance in the episode beyond that, but according to backstage interviews, the 2 chimpanzees portraying Bananas apparently fell in love with Austin while shooting and wouldn't leave him alone on set. And who can blame him?
I'm finding him very, very attractive.
Nash Bridges was there for 6 seasons before its cancellation in 2001 due to declining ratings, high production costs, and Don Johnson just wanting out. Austin's first appearance on the show in 1999 did such a huge rating, he was quickly offered his own Jake Cage TV movie on CBS, and had many eyes in Hollywood taking interest, as it had greatly trumped the success of the likes of both Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper on similar shows of the era. In his autobiography, The Stone Cold Truth, Austin revealed that CBS had even gone so far as to offer him his own series. However, due to his WWE schedule and insanely lucrative career in wrestling during the Attitude Era, he unfortunately had to decline on both fronts. In 2021, the possibility of a return of Jake Cage was briefly reignited with the news of a Nash Bridges reunion TV movie that was hoped to lead to an all-new series for the show. However, poor viewership in its initial outing seems to have put a halt to the project, and as of now, there seem to be no plans for Nash or Jake anytime in the foreseeable future. I have to admit, I had way more fun than I anticipated watching these 6 episodes of Nash Bridges. I wouldn't exactly call it a good show, but between its ludicrous premise and abrupt tonal shifts from melodrama to comedy, it works well enough as a cheesy and absurd relic from the 90s to keep your attention between scenes involving Austin. And though I definitely would not recommend watching this beyond Austin's 6-episode stint, it's absolutely worth checking out the performance that first helped him make headway in Hollywood by showcasing Stone Cold at what Stone Cold does best.
Let's go kick some ass, man.
And that concludes our look back at Stone Cold Steve Austin as Inspector Jake Cage in Nash Bridges. Join us next time as we take a look back at arguably Austin's most bizarre appearance yet, laying down the law as Judge Stone Cold in short-lived comic strip turned cartoon sitcom, Dilbert. All this and more, next time on Headlock Cinema.
It's like I said, it's a paranoid bunch. That's why I need bananas. They're not thingies. They're turtles. Well, in my experience, wealthy people are the most ill-mannered folks on the planet. But the rain in Spain falls mainly on my head. What's that smell? Hey, anybody got some Dramamine? LS Chicory. Works wonders on a hangover. You know deep down I'm a pussycat.
All right, that's it. Ronnie, give me a stunner.